Oh, I can't get that song out of my head. Get on your bikes, ride. So sorry if you tuned in on Friday. And I instantly fell to pieces, obviously, because I got a call off my daughter's school. Don't worry, she's fine. She's fine. She was just a bit poorly. Bit of a thing, and they were a bit worried because she doesn't usually cry or complain. So, yeah, that was the thing. I was a bit rattled. I've set the video to private now. I'm probably going to delete it. But for those of you that did watch, he just saw me going, "Oh my God, my baby," and then run away. So I'm sorry about that, but yeah, I looked after her loads and took care of her over the weekend and got her out to the park and that. And she's fine. She's fine. Everything's wonderful. But yeah, I do apologise for cutting so short for the wonderful people who do watch live. Hello, Nat Lynch. You all right? Anyone else joining us, please let us know you're there so I can say hello to you. I can say good afternoon for this week's first midday meltdown. And I've got to start with this. I was going to start with the title, which is this John McDonnell interview that I actually spent a lot of Friday before the thing happened with my daughter. The entire morning I was screaming and raging at. It's why I came on so late, because I was just so angry. I was like, I need to calm down, or I'm not going to get any of this out. But I'm going to go to that in just a second. But first, for those of you, this is local news for me, and it's wait. Oh, I've done it! I've moved things around, so I'm actually looking at it now. Oh, what's this? So, Manchester's Zippy Santa, for those of you who don't know, he's been there for about 10 years now in Albert Square, which is the main city centre area where they have the markets and the light turnings on. And it's like in terms of the decorations and the Christmas things, it is a focal point. There's not really any shops there or anything like that. There's a couple of nice food places and a couple of pubs or whatever. But one of the reasons to go there was to go and see this. But it's gone now. Hey, it's found a new home. It's now at the Kellogg's factory. And do you know what? Do you want to know why? Manchester City Council, one of the biggest local councils on the planet, have said it's too hard to put together. Oh, it takes 3 days, guys. It takes 3 days to construct it. And it's just too hard for them to do it. So so it's gone at the Kellogg's factory in Trafford Park. But yeah, bless the little foot. I want to get this though. Yeah, in August the council confirmed it was selling Zippy because it took too long to build him every year. Oh my God, these people want to take ownership of like all the public services in the country. They want to own the internet, and they're telling me it's too hard to put a Santa together once a year at Christmas. The same Santa every year. It's too hard. We can't do it. We'd have to sell it. It comes in 89 pieces and illuminated by 100,000 LED lights. Each year, it required a hugely complicated and costly operation to put him up and take him down. Now, I don't think this story actually mentions this, but this Santa was bought from a French company. Now, I don't mind, man. You know, you want to go out and buy. If you, as an individual, private individual, wants to go and buy French products or Chinese products or any products, good for you. Find whatever you want at the best price, best quality, all that other nonsense, right? But Manchester City Council, that has the grave responsibility of our tax money that we have no choice but to give them. We give them at the end of a gun, which is something people do not forget. If you do not pay your taxes, they will put a gun to your head. Not straight away, but they will. Test it. Keep saying no. See what happens. They will turn up with guns and arrest you. Taxes are paid with a gun to the head. So, and that's fine. I consent to that. I understand that. We need that. But Labour, who want to take over everything, can't even be trusted when they have a super majority in Manchester to spend our tax money on a local fucking business. You imagine how much... I mean, this will have cost tens of thousands. Then there's the yearly putting it up every year. This could have sustained a local business. This could have fed families, who in turn would have paid council tax, who in turn would have paid business rates. What do? They send it to France. And then 10 years later, they tell us that it's too hard to do. So we're just going to sell it. Phenomenal. And these people want to run the frigging broadband. Are you insane? But the last cherry on this wonderful cake is the new one is on its way from Turkey. Again, I don't mind if you as an individual want to buy things from Turkey. Good for you. Wonderful. Please do. Go to Turkey, enjoy the food, enjoy the culture, buy everything online from Turkey. Do it. But the council should not be doing that. It is insane. They are taking our taxes. Why are they not supporting a local business? This is Labour, by the way. Regardless of all their nonsense about, oh well, I get it. I get so many of my friends going, oh well, they're just nice people. It's like, oh, are they? They can be as nice as they think they are, but they don't have the basic decency to use our taxes to support a local fucking business. Are you insane? Manchester is a huge city. There are a lot of companies here that could handle something like this. A lot. There's local artists, there's local electricians, there's local everything that could all handle this. But they piss the money away to France, then they piss the money away to Turkey. What a fucking joke. What a joke. They can't even handle buying a Father frigging Christmas, and they want to just run everything. Give us the broadband, guys. Arseholes. Scum. If you are even slightly, remotely considering voting Labour, look at Manchester. Take a long, hard look at Manchester. It is a corrupt hellhole. And once you've finished looking at Manchester, look at California. There's a left supermajority there. Supermajorities of the left do not work. Ever. It's good for running an old folks home. It's good for running a local park or whatever for kids to play in. Is it good for government? Is it fuck? And that is not an endorsement of the Tories. They are almost as bad as them. Almost as bad. The Tories are just self-serving, corrupt scum. But at least they understand how economies work. That's the only thing that takes them slightly over the top. But they're there to rinse the system just like any of else. None of them have got an interest in freedom. Not a single one of them. Before we carry on with this, though, hello, Natalie Stacey, you all right? Thanks for joining us. Hello, Keenan Hughes, who says, what's Chairman Mao McDonnell said now? This is actually from Thursday, I think, this video. I was going to cover it on Friday, but there was the problem with my daughter. Fat Belly's saying, oh my god, you moved the PC. I can't see the Sony VR. I can see it. It's right there. It's still pretty much where it was. I've swapped. It's because that beast is the biggest heater in the house, and it needs to be on now. Me having my comfortable computer area just doesn't work anymore for anyone. So yeah, look, I need that. You know, I've got kids. I've got a kid. Forget about that bit. I've got a kid. I need to think about it. So yeah, I had to move it around. And to be honest, it's better. So if you remember the other thing with the shelving, they're actually cubes. They're separable. So I lowered the level of 3 of them, put my desk right over the top of all the books and DVDs, and then I've just built up at the side. And actually, it's better than it was before. It's bloody lovely. But let's get on with this video. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell, he's with Labour. He will essentially be the second in command should the worst happen and Labour get in. Which, again, I qualify. This is not an endorsement for the Tories. They're almost as bad. Almost. Only their lies are a little bit smaller. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to give you 50,000 nurses, and people are like, no, it's only a few hundred, you know. Yeah, that's a lie, shameful lie. But these people lie, and it leads to death camps. That's my difference. Not like, you know, Fucking assholes. But yeah, John McDonnell went on talk radio. He didn't turn up in person, but he did go on. And you know what? Respect to him, because Iron Mike here, he's a formidable foe. And respect to Mike as well, because he was decent with him. He wasn't nasty. He wasn't horrible. And it's good. It's good because he's very, very pro-Brexit, and this could easily be a guy who is ignored. But he went on it, and good on him. Let's have a listen.
Let's be absolutely clear. We do need to spend more.
Let's be absolutely clear. You know, whenever a politician says that clarity is not what's going to come. He says, we absolutely have to spend more. No, you know what you could do? You could fuck off. You could fuck off and let me decide how I want to spend my money. Because what have we got right now? What's the biggest thing that we pay, man? We pay our national insurance. And what do we expect out of that? We expect healthcare, and we expect to be taken care of when we get old. Both of those things are a failure. We would have been better off sorting it out ourselves. I fucking promise you that. Not leave it to successive governments to just fuck it up in different manners.
And it is big because the challenges are big, and because we've had 10 years of austerity, and we cannot allow the housing crisis to go on.
Housing crisis. All right, John, mate. The supermajority that is here in Manchester, how many homes have you built? Fuck all. How many homes have you sold in the last 3 years? 5,000 council homes have gone, which, by the way, I agree with. I want poorer people to get on the property market. I want them to have something to hand over to their kids. I want them to pay off that mortgage, reach retirement, and not have to worry about rent. I want those things to happen, because you can't trust the government to pay your rent for you. That's been proven over and over again. You cannot trust the fucking government to sort this shit out. They are lying scumbags, every single one of them. They are self-serving pricks. So yeah, I want council people to buy their homes. I want them to. I know that grandma-in-law has paid off her house, and I'm not going to go into it, but she's not very well. But at least mortgage payments aren't an issue for her, which is phenomenal, which is a good thing. Right? I like that, but at least replace the fucking things. That should be basic common sense. Which, by the way, I wouldn't have even as much of an issue with if Labour hadn't knocked down thousands of houses in this city. Thousands. Hattersley alone lost hundreds and hundreds of them. Steamrolled, because you know what? They can't look after a fucking Father Christmas. They certainly couldn't look after the council houses. They just knocked the fuckers down. So John McDonnell's sitting there going, we have a housing crisis. Yes, we do. Because you keep knocking the fuckers down. Because you keep selling them off. Because you won't give permission for people to build new ones. And not only that, John McDonnell, we've had open fucking borders for 20 years. We've had 500,000 people arrive every single year. The Windrush generation every single year. Which would be fine if you actually built the fucking houses that we needed. But you don't.
We cannot allow our schools to be literally schools begging for funds for basics.
Yeah, you know what? This is a shame. This is a shame that schools are begging for funds. It is. And again, think of the amount of people. If you've got kids, how many of your kids go to that school? Now, take every single teacher in there and split their salary between you. You could fucking pay for it. You could pay for your school yourself without government intervention. You already do in your taxes. You could do it directly. You could get local businesses to support it, which they would. Communities, if they were legitimately free, not this bullshit that the Tories do, where it's this half-assed kind of privatized. It's not even privatized. It's like this outsourced, corrupt nonsense. I mean, legitimately, the government fucking off, gone. Full charitable status, just like they do with the other private schools. Here's the thing, man. Why, for some reason, we think that private schools is like, oh, well, that's something that rich people do. Poor people could very easily do the same thing. Very easily. It's a fucking joke, man. Local businesses would support it. Charities would support it. Just take the fucking government out of it. Take their corrupt, cunty fingers out of it. They can't even collect the bins. And for some reason, we expect them to run schools appropriately. They don't. Fucking Labour alliances saying it's oh, Jesus. No, let's get on with this.
We cannot allow our NHS to be in this crisis. We've got to fund it properly. And the way to do it, we're saying very, very clearly, we are increasing income tax. We're increasing income tax on the top 5% of...
Here's the lie. Here is the filthy fucking lie, right? Yeah, okay. So if you go off strictly, I have been going through the 104-page thing they put out. Apart from the vast quantities of things in there that they haven't actually costed. They just Corbyn stands there and goes, oh yeah, fully costed. Expecting you to not actually read it. Please go and read it. Please go and read it. Because it's fucking shocking. There's something on every page where you're like, what? This doesn't even make any sense at all. Now, yes, 81,000 a year or whatever it was, your taxes will go up by £16 or whatever. Which, you know, all the Corbynistas and all the stupid people go, well, it's just a tax on the wealthy and we're only asking for a little bit. But they're going to add tax on everything else, including the minimum wage going up, which means more taxes for companies. They're going to tax companies more. And you know, your wages get taxed as well. The cost of fucking everything goes up. So say I'm on 20 grand a year, the Labour come in. And, oh, actually, do you know what? My taxes haven't changed. This is amazing. And look, they've just announced 100 new doctors for the local hospital. This is fucking amazing. But instead of my loaf of bread costing £1, it's now £2 fucking 50. Because there's such an insane level of taxation everywhere else. Don't give me this bullshit, John McDonnell, you lying fucking scumbag. Because here's the thing about Bernie, right? I don't agree with Bernie's policies, but at least he's honest. At least he stands there and says, yes, taxes will go up, but his argument is your financial needs will go down, so it's not so bad. But John McDonnell is a disgraceful scumbag who is happy to just fucking lie and just go, well, income tax will only go up for the top 5%. All right, what about the rest of it, though? How else are you going? That only gets 5 billion. Where's the other 85 billion that you're promising to spend coming from, John?
Earners. We're saying 95% of people will not have their income tax rates increase.
Income tax, specifically. They only mention income tax, ever.
Or VAT.
Because they want you to hate rich. They want you to be full of hate. They want you to look at those rich bastards. Look at those people, 80 grand a year. And they're annoyed about having to just pay another few quid. Oh, that's what they want. They want you to be full of hate and jealousy and anger. And they want you to collectively vote to take from them. That's what they fucking want. They want the nice guys, my fucking ass. This is all perfectly constructed to create as much rage and hate for your fellow man as humanly possible. And it's all the shit that they accuse other people of. You know what? It's their fault. It's their fault that hospitals aren't funded properly. Yeah, you know what? We'll vote for them. And then you all get fucked over.
National insurance. But we are saying to corporations, you've had large tax cuts over the last 10 years.
Not really. I mean, on paper, corporations pay a little bit less in this country. But if you actually look at all the other costs combined, it averages out to like the 26 or whatever it is. It actually averages out to it. You know, corporations, yeah, they have tax cuts, but we have higher staff wages, we have higher VAT. It actually averages out. And you know what? So what? So what if they've had fucking tax cuts? So what? You can't even do a Father Christmas in the city centre because it takes 3 days to make. Why don't you leave the businesses to do what they do? Fucking hell, man. Fucking hell. No sense. This is why companies go to Ireland. I know Aiden's got this big thing about fucking Ireland, but they go there because it's cheap. Because they... What is the fucking point of pointing the finger at corporations? All right, you'll get a year or two rinsing them a little bit deeper. And you'll get all that money that you'll just fritter away on bollocks. And then what happens? They move. They go. The lease comes up. Fuck this. Going somewhere else.
You haven't invested in the way you should. We're reversing some of those tax cuts. You'll still be competitive internationally, but
there you go. We're reversing the tax cuts. So this whole bullshit about the over only 85%. Do you think that every single company in this country, once their tax goes up, do you think that they are going to pay those taxes for a moment? Do you honestly, John McDonnell, think that they are going to do it? That the companies are just going to go, well, now we've got less money. Or do you think they're just going to put those taxes onto the prices of the products they sell? Do you think they're going to put those taxes, they're going to include those taxes in the wages they pay people? Like they already do with fucking, what's that? Working tax credits. Working tax credits is the most stupid fucking thing that we've ever done in this country. It's a joke. Because a company just goes, well, you can, if I pay you this, the government will make up the rest. It's like, what's the fucking point? They're paying that tax to the government, who then, and then they just give it back to you. There's 50 quid, and at the end of the month, I get it back. Fucking stupid. Fucking ridiculous. Get rid of the lot. Scumbags. Absolute fools. We just want them to pay their fair share. No, you will pay it. The public pays it. It affects the costs of things. If I buy an iPhone in this country, it costs a few £100 more than it does in America. Do you think they do that because we're just dumb here? No, it's because of the fucking taxes. Sorry. Because you pay. But no. Hey, eat the rich, eh? Fuck them. Fuck corporations. Fuck these rich bastards. We're going to get ours from them. No, you won't. You'll pay it. You will pay it.
We're reversing some of those. We're also saying to the City of London, we need you to pay a little bit. We need you to contribute a bit more.
You know what? We need you to play your little bit. We need you to contribute a little bit more. Yeah. It sounds easy when you say that, doesn't it? But the way they've worked it out, this transaction tax thing is almost completely unenforceable. But, let's paint it like that, eh? Oh, it's the magic granddads come to sort us out. Bit of transaction tax on the financial sector. Get to fuck.
Now, and we're saying to, some of the rich and corporations who we don't think are paying their taxes, they're avoiding and evading sometimes their taxes. We're going to clamp down on tax evasion and tax avoidance. In that way, we will be able to fund the public services that we need. Now, the IFS has said, well, companies will simply put up prices or cut wages. No, they won't, because...
No, right. Why, John McDonnell? There you go. Here he is, addressing the point I've just made. They will cut wages, which happened with the working tax credits. Everyone's like, oh, wages have stagnated. It's like, yeah, because working tax credits pays the difference. Or they'll increase prices. Come on then, John. What's your answer to that, please? I'd love to know.
We're restructuring our economy. So on those
Oh, they're going to restructure the entire economy. Oh, wow. That's always worked out, hasn't it, historically? Are the modern Labour Party really doing the... it'll be different this time with socialism? Really? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying... there is a place for social sort of consciousness. We need a strong left to say, look at these people, man. They need our help. We need that. We do. That's essential. That's an essential. There's always been a left and right for that exact reason, man. The wet shits that are like, oh, somebody think about the children. You might mock it, but we need it. But absolute full control over the entire economy. Well, we'll just tweak it and then everything will be fine. Never, ever, ever, ever works. Ever. It hasn't. There isn't a single example.
company boards. A third of their board will be workers. There'll be supervisory boards, which consumers are represented on.
Wait, whoa. Wait. So they're not just, it's not just the economy then, because he said the economy, but let's just go back a second.
Well, they won't, because we're restructuring our economy. So on those company boards, a third...
Whoa, no, you slimy snake of a scumbag. You can't say we are restructuring our economy and then start talking about boards of directors. No, that is totalitarian control of every single major business. What is it, over 250 people? That's usually the point you pick, isn't it? Well, if there's more than 250 people, we're going to come in and tell you how to run your business. They can't even manage to put a Santa up for more than 10 years. But they're going to go and tell every single business in the country. Businesses that they don't care about, by the way. This was bought in France. They don't even have that basic level of giving the slightest fuck. They're like, oh, well, we'll just... Do you know what? Just pay a bit more. Pay your fair share. Why didn't you pay a bit more and pay your fair share to get a British company to make this? To get a local company to make this Santa? And a local company to put this Santa up every year. Hey? Isn't that chucking your fair share in? You see, there's the words you say, and then there's what you do. And so far, the words you're saying aren't even that great either, mate. You're talking about full authoritarian control over the entire fucking country. So you're going to take over broadband, you're going to take over the utilities, but then what's this? This is the same thing with fucking Venezuela, isn't it? When they said, oh, well, it's not a socialist country. They're still private entities. Yeah, private entities that you're saying you're going to have authoritarian control over. Are you fucking insane? You're going to go with a gun to these people's heads and tell them how to live their lives. Because that's what this is. The government is a gun. Always. That's what it always comes down to. And that's okay. That can be a very good thing. It means we're not all fucking killing each other. We're not all getting justice from one another. They take care of that. But that is a solemn responsibility. And it is not something to just throw at fucking companies willy-nilly just because you want to win a few fucking votes.
Their board will be workers. There'll be supervisory boards which consumers are represented on as well.
Supervisory boards? So you're gonna appoint people to supervise everyone? You fucking scum. You absolute scum. Gun to your head. This is how you will run your business now. Look. I know everything that happened in Manchester was pretty horrific. I know we knocked down thousands of homes, including at least 200 that were specifically meant for homeless people. I know we didn't build any of the homes we were going to do. I know that we can't even collect the bins, but we're going to have a say in every company in the country. Every single one. With our supervisory boards. Go fuck yourself.
So we will not have this system whereby they keep on passing on the cost to their customers or their workers, whilst at the same time they're making quite massive profits. They had tax cuts of over 100 billion under the Tories, and that had...
Great, wonderful, fantastic. Is that why our economy's growing? Is that why unemployment's going down? Is that why? Because even with all the chaos of Brexit, things are going pretty well. I mean, not if you read The Guardian, you might not be aware of this. But there's loads of fucking jobs everywhere right now. Wages are finally going up. Maybe those tax cuts are the reason for that. Fucking... So... Prices won't go up because we'll tell companies they're not allowed to put the prices up. We're going to dictate companies' prices and wages. That worked really well in Venezuela, didn't it? Really well.
Hasn't been invested in our economy.
How will you make them do that, though? Because that's a question a lot of people have been asking me. You've used the word required before.
Yeah, required means a gun. Try saying no. The government signs something into law. What happens when you say no? You will get a letter, perhaps. Eventually, you might get taken to court. Keep saying no, 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 I do not consent, and see what happens. Eventually, there is a gun pointed at you. That's what happens. And that gun goes all the way up to that original piece of legislation. When the government says we have passed this, what they are saying is there is a gun to your head, you are going to do this. Because otherwise, why would you? Why would you?
When we spoke the other day, Jeremy Corbyn has also used that word. How would you get companies to actually do something that they may not wish to do?
Because we're restructuring the boards, we're making sure workers and consumers are represented.
So you're going to put your people in at the top as the bosses, right? Okay, and none of those people at the top who are already at the top got there because they actually know what they're doing, because they're really good at making and distributing shoes. No, you're just going to put someone in there, someone as fucking dirty and as corrupt as you, John McDonnell, I'm sure.
Yeah, but how though? But how do you restructure the board of a company which is not publicly owned?
Oh, well, simply you introduce legislation. It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. Legislation is a gun. Do not be fooled by this nonsense. You just fucking hell.
It happens in Europe and elsewhere.
I don't give a sweet fuck what happens in fucking Europe. What the fuck are you? Oh, John's allowed to stay up till 10, so why do I have to go to bed now? I don't give a fuck. Don't point at fucking Europe. Because other countries have got their other things going on. Yeah, this happens in France, you know. France took this approach and they've been rioting for over a year now.
You introduce legislation, you enable that to happen. And this is commonplace in other countries. In fact, it's interesting, isn't it? When we were assisting Germany after the Second World War to be reconstructed, we put in place on our advice, a lot of the legislation that enabled the democracy.
Are you bringing in wartime? Do you know what, though? Right. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing with how these people treat it. Farage will say, oh, let's get down and storm the beaches and get Brexit done or some shit like that. And people lose their fucking minds. But when a Labour representative, John McDonnell himself, cites wartime or just post-war as a model, which is appropriate, by the way, because it was around then that all these ideas were debunked. People talk about socialism as if it's this fresh new idea. You know, it's time for a change. And it's the most archaic, deadly system of government that hit in the 20th century. Deadly. Nothing killed more people than this way of thinking. Because it doesn't work. A government, no matter how big, even if it's a full fascist monster of a beast with absolute control, no government can run an entire country. They can't do it. They don't know. They don't have the specialist knowledge in each little area that fits together, going on about fucking capitalism and fucking money. It's just trade. I had some milk. I swapped my milk with your bread. That shit you can't do that for long. Money became a thing. You know, alright, well, there you go. My milk's worth a penny. Sweet, I'll use that penny somewhere else, but then that's worth 2 pennies. Great. It's just trade. That's all it fucking is. Capitalism! Capitalism, real capitalism, actual capitalism, at its very core, is you owning your time and yourself. That's all it is. You own your time. You decide what you want to do with your time. If you don't like a job, go somewhere else. If you want to do a different job, go and train for it. Go and start doing it. Go and do whatever the fuck you want. The more capitalistic a country is, the more free it is. And that's not state controls. That's not this bullshit that the Conservatives try to put over, where it's all this crony bullshit where they're heavily involved and give it. No. Capitalism means the government just steps the fuck away. Let me live my life. But no. They're selling this bullshit, this totalitarian bullshit that will kill people.
Democratization of their economy much more effectively. And that's what we want to do here.
There's no greater democratization of the economy than capitalism. Than me having the freedom to choose what I pay for. I have the freedom to choose my broadband supplier. If I don't like it, I move on. and then a company that does well with people voluntarily. People talk about fucking Jeff Bezos all the time. Who ever put a gun to your head and demanded you buy something off Amazon? Who ever put a gun to your head and forced you onto Twitter? Because that's where a lot of his money comes. They're on Twitter going, Jeff Bezos. Where do you think Twitter stores its data? On Amazon servers. You fucking idiots. You fucking idiots. Jeff Bezos is a billionaire because you voluntarily gave your money to him. Because he provided the best possible service. I remember when you ordered something online, or not even online, by the phone or by mail, and it would be 4 to 6 weeks. That motherfucker gets it to me on the same day. The same day. I want a video game and I could just... and it just arrives. That's why he's a billionaire, dickhead. Fucking idiots. Fucking idiots. Just fuck off. Just fuck off. You can't handle it. You cannot. You would never do... They always go on about that with iPhones. Well, actually, it was government. No, it was the army that invented a lot of a lot of technology that you're putting onto the taxpayer. But that was still tax money. That was our money that paid for that research. And what did it do? Do you remember touchscreens? The ones that our taxes did, that was publicly created? They were shit. They were crappy little boxes and you just fucking ram it on. Nothing as beautiful as the iPhone would ever come from the public sector. Not in a million years. Not even close.
And on the public utilities that we're bringing back into public ownership and control, basically on rail, on water, on energy, on royal...
Fuck off with your rail. The rail has never been privatised. It has been outsourced. This fucking lie every time.
What we're doing is we're making sure that they're properly managed, no longer used for
You can't even do a Santa Claus, dickhead.
speculation, but on their boards will be expert management, representatives of workers and representatives of communities and representatives of consumers and passengers. On that basis, you stabilise the future of those companies. They're no longer driven by short-term profiteering and only shareholder value. And
you know, they talk about shareholder value. Most of that in this country is pensions. It's people's pensions. It's what people are going to retire on. Not just your fat cats, but your grandma. Hard-working people. That's where they put it. That's where the shares are. But they just talk about it like it's some sort of evil thing. The biggest panic with this ownership, this public ownership of utilities, is people's pensions part right now. People are freaking out because they know that the state pension isn't worth shit. The government can't be trusted.
do you know, this reform, this debate isn't just happening here. It's happening in the United States of America at the moment, as well as across Europe.
And what about this transition fund, the windfall tax that you want to put on oil and gas companies? How wide-ranging would that be? And when did you change your mind on that? Because you said previously that wasn't going to happen.
Oh, I didn't. What happened? I was given a question by the Daily Telegraph early in the week about
bullshit. But yeah.
We'll work with the companies themselves and independent experts.
Well, you don't need to work with the companies. Just fuck off. He's hammering on here about retraining oil workers to work in green technology, and it's like, mate, my partner is an engineer. She works for the NHS, which pays about 10 grand. As an engineer, on average, the NHS pays 10 grand less than the private sector, and they no longer give you cars. They used to have this weird car lease thing that they did where you could lease it via the NHS. That's all been cancelled under the Conservatives. The private sector straight away pays 10 grand more, so occasionally we look. But my partner's a very decent person, so she has a feeling of duty when it comes to the NHS. The NHS would not survive without people like her. People who really care and want to make sure that people get better, which is why they accept what are just joke wages to work there. But we've looked, and you know what? Every single engineering position advertises, even ones that demand experience. Every single fucking engineer job reassures you straight away, apart from the very high wages and the free car that you get, that full training is given. That already happens. Labour are so good at this. They take something that already exists in the market and then claim that it's their idea and they're going to do it. Like the weekend. It already was there. But they were like, we gave you that. Like, you fuck. Now, any engineering job retrains you. If you go from an oil company to working on solar panels, they would never dream of expecting you to know how to work on the new thing. And not only that, for their own asses, their own liability, their own reputation, they are going to give you full training and they are going to pay for that training because they want you to work efficiently, quickly. They want no complaints, no returns. They want you to just be fucking on it. So they'll give you 2 weeks. A mate of mine came out of the army, got a job fixing photocopiers, full training, car, there's all the gear, there's your jobs every day. Have fun. They want you to do it. We have zero reliance whatsoever on the government to provide this as a thing. This already exists. If a company needs someone, an engineer, to do specific work, they will show you how to do it. They're just interested in your technical competence. That's all they're interested in.
All we're saying is this, is that in North Sea oil, the UK-based companies have made quite a large amount of money over the years.
Good. I'm glad they have. I'm really glad they have. I am. I'm glad that there's food on the shelves in the supermarket that, despite the government taxation, is reasonably priced. Why? Because people delivered it there. I'm glad that there's plastic all around me. I'm glad that I've got all this shit made from oil. I'm glad that half the clothes I wear are made from oil. I'm glad that fucking everything, literally everything around me that is made from fucking oil is in my life at a reasonable price. And I'm glad that by making my life so much better than even the wealthiest person could imagine 100 years ago. Anyone from 100 years ago would take my life, would take the life of me as a poor man. Now, it would be like a dream for them. And if the oil companies made money doing that, which paid other people, which got invested, which supported thousands of other families, thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of other families, if all of them were secure and they could buy their own houses and feed their own families because of this, and they made money, good. Fan-fucking-tastic. I'm happy for you. Thank you for making the world a better place. Thank you for being an integral part in lowering poverty rates around the world. Thank you for being absolutely essential to connecting the world to drinkable water, to getting people on the internet, to getting people electricity, to lowering the child mortality rate at such a staggering number. It has gone down insanely fast. Thank you, oil companies, for your part in that. Thank you. I do appreciate it. I really do.
But now we're moving from fossil fuel into alternative energy. So we want now to undertake an assessment of what that will cost. One of the figures that's been put up is at least 11 billion to enable the workers who are now...
Yeah, there are greedy bastards out there. There are. And heaven forbid that we vote in the Labour Party who put those greedy bastards into government-protected monopolies. Because that's what they want to do. Only one broadband company. Only one water company. Do you think they're going to just murder the greedy bastards? Or do you think those greedy bastards will then have the power of a gun behind them? They will have government protection. I don't know what you do, Car, but sorry, that came out a bit nastily. But like, do you ever do business with anyone? Do you ever work with people? Because you know what happens if you work with people and you do business with people? If they are dicks, you will not work with them again. Films where I fucked up, I didn't get a call again. But Labour want to protect these people. They're not gonna get anywhere. Hello, Dilip Fumbar, howdy. But yeah, there's greedy people. They will not cease to exist. But at least under capitalism, there is a mechanism by which we can get rid of their business. We don't support their business because it's voluntary. It's not, all I can do is go to that greedy fucker who's not just like thinking about profits now. Now he's thinking about ripping the government off for as much as humanly possible. See G4S.
Now, well, will be displaced from their jobs to be retrained with the skills that we need to ensure that we have the alternative energy sources. And the jobs that will be created by what we call a green industrial revolution, all of that about developing.
It was private companies that did the Industrial Revolution. Private companies. Private companies built the trains also. We keep talking about renationalising the trains. No. Private companies did that. The government stole it all. They came with their guns and they took it off people. Fucking green industrial revolution. It's already happening. And I know, Dilip, I'm aware of the voting thing. But in terms of voting, there are worse alternatives. They're all scum. They're all liars. I can't stand this shit at the moment, pointing at Boris Johnson going, look at this liar, eh? They all are. They all lie. I am today discussing the Labour Party and John McDonnell, who would undoubtedly be the most destructive of the choices, the one who would remove the most liberty and freedom from us. This is authoritarian control of our country. There's no two ways about it. They're going to close the oil companies. Oh, good luck. They're gonna fix prices. Well, wait till we get those empty shelves, eh? You think people... Fuck off, Google!
And wave and solar power, insulating people's homes, all of that will require a skilled workforce. Those skills are out there amongst those people who have been associated with the oil and gas industry, who are now, unfortunately, losing their jobs because of that they will move on now to being part of that green industrial revolution.
Talk about protecting jobs, eh? They don't give a shit, do they?
The opportunities are...
Yeah, no, we don't like your job, so you can fuck off. The oil industry. The oil industry. It's just this boogeyman, isn't it? Nobody wants to tell the truth about it, though. Nobody wants to be honest.
Enormous. And we feel the oil companies who've made so much profit from North Sea oil actually then should assist us in that just transition. That's why we're saying they should make a contribution to protect those workers and those communities that up until now have been dependent on oil and gas industries.
You know what? I agree, man. We need to move on to green energy. We do. Of course we do. No matter what your political persuasion, eventually oil will run out. Of course it will. So it needs to happen at some point. It could be hundreds of years, but it needs to happen. And unfortunately, we listened to pricks like this in the 80s and didn't build any nuclear power stations. So we're kind of fucked. We're kind of dependent, aren't we? Do you remember them all? No nuclear, no nuclear. It'd be solving all our fucking problems right now. We'd all have cheap electricity. But no, that was put a stop to. We listened to these dickheads back then. And now what do they want to do? Forcibly close oil companies. Forcibly take money. It's fucking insane. Because the only thing that happens is your food costs more. You doing any kind of business, it doesn't matter what you do, whatever you do, the costs just go up and up and up. And if they somehow manage to do these boards that force price fixing, then the businesses, they'll just go out of business completely. It's not like government where you can just fuck about and spend what you want and everything's fine. They'll just go out of business. And then again, we're back to fucking Venezuela, aren't we? Venezuela's an easy one for people to bring up. And they go, oh, this is blah, 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 blah. Right. Here's what happened in Venezuela. Exactly what he wants to do right now. Do you know why there's power cuts that last 6-7 days? Do you know why? It's because when the system goes down, there's nobody who knows what they're doing left. All the good people who expect to be paid properly for that job have gone. They've gone to other countries. They've fucked off to America. They're here working on our things that pay properly because there's less government intervention. There's not this price fixing nonsense. There's the actual money there. They're talking about profits. Do you know what profits gives you? Profits gives you the ability to hire the best. That's why Venezuela has got no power, because nobody there has a fucking clue how to fix it. It goes off and they all go, I don't know, but we got equality. Hey, we got fair wages. I'm not looking for fair wages. If you want the best, you need to pay more.
Help us.
And here's the thing. In theory, maybe, the bollocks that he's spouting right now would work. Maybe, possibly. As long as no one for the rest of time was ever corrupt or self-serving. Maybe this could work, but only if it was on a global scale. Because the second you bring in an NHS-style system across the entire country, they're all gone. The people who really know what they're doing are gone. They're going to fuck off to Europe. They're going to go to America. America's... You're going to go there, aren't you? Get your wages doubled overnight. Fuck this bullshit. I don't give a fuck. I'm gone. And then what happens? Stuff doesn't run properly. Power cuts. Internet goes off.
Shift that into the green industrial revolution, the green industries that we need.
Let's talk a little bit about Brexit.
Just reduce... No taxes. No taxes. Solar panels. Water. The fucking fans and all that. No taxes. No import taxes on the materials. That's how you do it. Encourage it. Make it so that a company's like, fuck man, that's awesome. I'm going to do that. We're going to make a shitload. We're going to put fucking solar panels on every single person's. And you know what that then does? You know what that then does if you remove taxes from it? And I don't mean this rebate bullshit. Just tax-free. We're not going to tax whoever you pay to do that job. Any engineers that are installing solar panels, you won't. And taxes, employment taxes are a lot. They never get talked about, but they're a fuckload. It can be like a third extra on top of whatever they're paying you. Your PAYE. There's loads you don't even see that gets paid. So you want to talk to me about greedy people? What do we do about greedy people? What do we do about greedy people who have the knowledge and expertise? Do we put a gun to the head and say, you must do this for the good of the community? Or do we just incentivise it? We incentivise that greed. Suddenly there's solar panels all over the fucking place. Lovely. Perfect. Great. Job's done. Fuck off. Try, maybe, to sort out Santa, hey? Before you start worrying about a green industrial revolution.
I presume you guys have now got a team working on negotiations that would take place as soon as an election result happens. If you do win the election, you'll need to go and start negotiating a new deal. What parts of Boris Johnson's new deal would you change, and how would you make it a better deal for Britain?
Well, remember, we've had a team working on this for the last couple of years, and can you remember, we were in 6 weeks of negotiations with Theresa May's cabinet.
The Labour position, the reason they don't want to talk about it is because it's easy. Labour's position on Brexit is, we will negotiate a credible deal with the EU. A credible deal. And then we'll put it to a public vote. So the EU, who openly state that they do not want us to leave, what is their motivation for giving us a credible deal? What's the motivation? Exactly. Can anyone explain that to me? It's fucking insane. We're going to negotiate a credible deal. And then do you know what? We're going to put the power in the hands of the people and we're going to let you decide. It's going to be a joke. It's going to be a joke. Because you're not going to do it. It'll be a carefully constructed thing designed to lose. And lose closely. Just so they can kind of shut people up a little bit. Well, it was close, but we tried. We tried! Because they're that fucking terrified of just giving people liberty and freedom to take care of their own fucking lives. It's like I said the other day with the internet, man. Yeah, there's houses. There's isolated people. There's old people there. Give it $1 billion. Spend $1 billion on getting them connected. Don't take over the entire fucking infrastructure. Why don't you just work realistically on that? Hey? That makes so much... I would vote for that. I would vote for the Labour who's saying that. You, collectively, as a country, are going to be a little bit poorer because we're going to connect pensioners to the internet. Fuck it. We'll even start a scheme with old office computers. Offices have got stacks of computers lying around, man. We're going to get a scheme going. We're going to get them on Skype. They're going to be talking to their kids. We're even going to set up a phone line for them. So if they're worried about scammers or anything like that, we're going to do all this. And you know what? I'd stand there and I would proudly vote Labour. Nat Lynch, thank you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Thank you for meaning I don't have to get a real job for yet another day. Fucking joke. That's the Labour I'd vote for, man. The people who say we want to take care of the people who are down on the luck and whatever, and then present a credible plan, something realistic, something we could all actually celebrate. Not this, we are going to have authoritarian control over every business in the country and force them to do this bullshit. It's nonsense.
Through what we thought was a realistic deal, but we, at the same time, of course, we were talking to European partners as well about that, and we said basically we do need a permanent customs union. It's the one way of making sure we protect our.
You know what, Happy Dog, you're right. Pensioners don't want the internet, by and large. You're right about that. You are 100% right about that. They want gin and bingo. They do. Do you think for a moment Labour would lower business rates, making bingo easier to access, cheaper to go to? Do you think for a moment they would lower the tax on alcohol so that they could have the gin and bingo? Do you think for a fucking moment they'd do that? Would they? Bollocks.
Trade, but also overcoming this problem with regard to the Good Friday Agreement. We mustn't do anything that in any way endangers the Good Friday Agreement and the potential of long-term peace in Northern Ireland and Ireland overall.
Why not? Ultimately, I mean, you know, the people in Ireland on both sides of the equation. I mean, it never really stopped. Shit's been going on for years. And now some of them are using Brexit as an excuse to start fighting again. And it's awesome, isn't it? We got gangsters and terrorists intimidating the community. And the government's job, the actual thing that they should be doing, the core, first thing, the top of the list, protecting our rights and freedoms. That is why we give them the guns. That's why we let them hold the gun, to protect our rights. And if there's gangsters and terrorists running around Northern Ireland and Ireland because of Brexit, they need to get over there and fucking sort it out. But no. It's always Labour's way, isn't it? Because there's no terrorists out there. They're all fucking freedom fighters, aren't they? They're always freedom fighters. If they're not English.
Current permanent customs union is exactly what we're saying, but we're saying that customs union relationship needs to be partially redesigned so we have much.
Yeah, you're right, Fat Belly. Every week they're doing something, and Brexit is just an excuse. Labour try to paint it, all the media try to paint it as like, well, if this happens with Brexit, then can you even imagine what's going to happen in Ireland? I mean, ultimately, fucking Northern Ireland has to go back to Ireland at some point, doesn't it? Let's be honest about that. It has to at some point. Jesus Christ. And it's going to be fucking horrific when it does. It's going to be horrible. But it's a fucking colony.
To say about future trade deals in Europe. Second thing, yes, a close market relationship with a single market, but also this issue about dynamic relationship with regard to regulations of workers, environment and consumer rights. We mustn't be in a situation where if Boris Johnson got his way, would be the undermining of.
They keep saying this workers and consumers' rights, and all it is control. You don't give the first fucking shit about rights, John McDonnell. A right is freedom. It is a freedom it is freedom of speech. It is freedom of assembly. It's I can do whatever the fuck I want so long as I am not harming or coercing another person. So long as I am not infringing on their right to do whatever the fuck they want. Workers' rights, fuck off. Go fuck yourself. Labour and Conservatives don't give a fuck about workers' fucking rights. You just fucked NHS workers. The biggest trade unions that you stand arm in arm with just fucked them over, lied to them. There's what you say and then there's what you do, and you just fucked every single person that works at the NHS. You got them to sign up for a joke of a pay rise, A lie one. You sent out, and I've got the email. I've fucking got copies of it. I've seen what you sent to them. I've seen what you stood behind and you told them to agree to it. And it was a fucking lie. They thought they were getting like £2,000 pay rises. They ended up getting 20 quid because of the way you structured it. Fucking bollocks to you, workers' rights, my fucking ass. That was your chance there with the NHS. That's the reality. What happens when this rhetoric actually hits the ground running and you have to fucking show you're working, show that you mean it? You fuck it up, don't you? That all the hospitals in this country should be closed right now. You should have told them, stop, down tools, get the fuck out. You're not working for this. But no. You were part of the lie. You were part of the lie that meant that doctors and nurses and cleaners and everyone were expecting a phenomenal pay rise that they never got. You lied to them. Don't give me that workers' rights bullshit. Go fuck yourself.
Basic regulations. And amongst that as well, I have to say, we don't want to be in a situation where we have a Tory government that is already involved in negotiations with Donald Trump about an American trade deal that would sell out our NHS.
Fucking bullshit. Fucking lie. Fucking lies. It's outsourcing. Yes, we would outsource things to America. Yes, we already rape the American medical system. We already do. They spend more on research alone than we do on our entire NHS per year. And what do we do with that research? We make generic versions of it. Sure, we license some of it, we buy some of it, we do deals here and there. And it is bad for Americans that we buy something for $2,000 that costs them 10. Yeah, that's serious. But don't start talking about this fucking boogeyman of America. We're going to just sell it off to America. We already do, man. We already outsource to American companies. And yeah, I think that's a joke. I don't think we should do that. But this spectre of selling things off. Why would we currently trade with America under WTO terms? Why would you not want a trade deal with the biggest, most freest economy on the planet? Why the fuck would you not want that? Are you insane? Again, it's fear of the other, isn't it? Waving Donald Trump at us as if trade isn't something that's done between individuals. The problem in America isn't the actual pharmaceutical companies. The problem is the insurance companies. Pharmaceutical companies sell a tiny bit above profit. Tiny bit. Because they have to. Because there's so much competition. It's the insurance companies that fucked it. But that's another story for another day.
Why do you keep saying that when you know it's not true?
Every
Every Labour politician mentions Donald Trump as if he's running against you.
Well, the evidence is there. Go to the dispatches programme. Go to the documents that they released that have been heavily redacted between the meetings between negotiators here and the big pharma companies in America. You know,
the big pharma companies. You mean the ones that make the good medicines? You mean right. If you go to a doctor in the UK, that doctor may or may not be aware of a medication that would be better for you, that would give you a higher chance of surviving. But what that doctor does is they don't even tell you that medication exists because it isn't the one that's been approved by the NHS. It isn't the generic one. And here's the thing about the NHS. I defended it for years because at its core, the idea of buying in bulk, you know, if I buy a plaster for myself or a packet of plasters, I'm going to spend £2 or £3 on that. If the NHS buys millions of plasters all at once, they're going to spend a fraction of that money. That as a collective, and this is why the left. This is the good argument for the left. As a collective bargaining, they can get prices. But it turns out that's not how they run the NHS. It's fragmented. They don't buy in bulk. They spend more for some things than I do. Apparently their toilet paper costs more, although I've not verified that. They spend more per roll than I do, which is insane. That isn't the way it's supposed to work. My brother works in procurement. He buys things en masse. Those of you who came to the live event would have seen him very drunkenly trying to explain this. But he didn't go to the NHS when Carillion closed down, because apart from the fact that he would have taken like a severe pay cut, like severe, like life-changing. The whole system was a joke. Even hospitals in Manchester buy separately. Even within a hospital, they buy separately. The whole point of pooling our resources is that you should be buying 1 million loo rolls. There should be an NHS warehouse. It should be run like fucking Amazon. And they should be there en masse. But here's why this doesn't happen at the NHS. And I'll go back to this again. Because they pay fuck all. And if you want the best, and if you want people who actually know what they're doing and can organise these things properly, then you need to pay decent money. There's no way around that. People are not going to do it out of the goodness of their fucking heart. If you want someone who could actually run like an Amazon-style warehouse for the NHS, you're going to have to fucking pay for it. Because if you don't, despite popular opinion, Amazon will pay that person. Because Amazon want that shit to get to you in 2 hours. The only way that socialism ever works is by destroying everything, which is obviously what he wants to do. Fucking madness. The one thing that I thought was good about the NHS, bulk buying, pressure. You could pressure the company. You could say, right, either you sell us 1 million for 2 pence a pill, or we're going elsewhere. And they go, okay then. They don't even do that. They pay for the one good thing. Fucking hell, man.
What they're about.
Again, they can't be trusted with the bins. Why do we trust them with healthcare? Why? Just get out of it. Stop taxing us for it. Every single bit of tax money that goes on healthcare right now, stop taking it. Leave it alone. All the stuff on fags and booze and everything, food, the VAT, all that shit that goes on NHS, just cancel it and see what happens. See what happens when people have got it themselves. What will NHS, what will the trusts do? They'll start their own insurance. Yeah, sure, we'll have an insurance system, whatever. I bet you any fucking money you'd spend a fraction of the price. An absolute fraction. It'd be nothing compared to what you already pay. What you do now pay. Let them run it themselves.
Yeah, they're about selling pharmaceuticals to the NHS, aren't they?
Yes, but that's the foot in the door. Don't you see that?
Well, they're the only people that...
The foot in the door to heal people. All the best drugs, all the best treatments come from America. Every single day, someone gets told by the NHS, I'm sorry, we don't cover that. We don't do that here. You're going to have to go to America. You're going to have to go to Italy. How am I going to pay for that? Well, you're going to have to go do GoFundMe. Don't believe me? Go on GoFundMe right now. Do it when this stream finishes. And you can see the children who every single day get told by the NHS, we don't cover that. Sorry. That hasn't been approved.
Make those pharmaceuticals, so they sell them to the NHS, and that's where we go to buy them, surely.
Well, we're not in a situation where we have to be dependent upon them with rip-off prices, and what they're trying to do, that's the foot in the door, the stage in which then they can start squeezing the NHS.
Rip-off prices. So, they spend 100 million developing this new treatment, this new cancer treatment. They spend $100 million on that. Are they not then supposed to do that? You see, the drug companies, it's not just some, evil Bond villain sat there. That's scientists. Scientists who, by the way, work in this country. There's huge American companies in this country right now. Cambridge is a hotbed for them. Cambridge is full of them. And they employ English, British people or European people, but they pay locally. They pay taxes locally. They pay good wages, much better than the NHS, much better than universities, serious wages, good stuff. You walking away with $2,500, $3,000 a month after tax. You're comfortable to do this research, and all that money's going into the community, going all the rest of it, and heaven forbid, heaven for fucking bid that they actually charge money at the end of that process.
Yes, and you know what will follow after that is further privatisation. We cannot allow...
Nothing's been privatised. The NHS has not been privatised. It has been outsourced poorly, very badly. Yes, very badly. But it's not been privatised. I'm not going to go to my MRI tomorrow And they're going to be like, oh, Virgin's took over. It's 50 quid to come to casualty now. Sorry, we're private now. We're not part of the NHS anymore. You fucking liar, John McDonnell.
Cannot allow
John
NHS to be
McDonnell.
undermined in that way.
Finally, John, and I appreciate your time this morning. Angela Rayner says that even she acknowledges that Jeremy Corbyn is not a particularly popular leader for the Labour Party. Do you think they'd be doing better, or you'd be doing better?
You're right, Happy Dog. Happy Dog has said the majority of NHS money goes to private companies that inflate their charges for the services they provide. Yes, because there's no cost there. There's no like it is a government-backed monopoly run by incompetent, greedy people. This is the thing. It's all backwards. He's talking about, well, what about the greedy people? They're there now. Getting good. Ask any builder who has done a government contract. Ask them how corrupt it is. Ask them how many fucking dodgy invoices go through for materials that were never bought, never used. It happens, and what do? It's the people who are supposed to... It's the people with the guns who are supposed to be keeping an eye on this. That are supposed to be running the police and the judiciary and keeping things fair. They're the same people providing the service. So what happens when that service is corrupt and it's their job to point the gun at themselves and arrest themselves? Do you think it's going to happen? No, it's not. Ever. It doesn't happen. Grenfell, no arrests. The countless issues with NHS problems every year, no arrests. I mean, you'll get this low-level shit with, like someone being abused at a ward. That ward gets closed down. The low-level workers will get fired or arrested. But not the people at the top that facilitated it all. It is a government monopoly. It is exactly the thing that they try to scare you with when they talk about capitalism. One company will just take over everything. So what's your answer? Well, we'll just have one company take over everything. What? A company take over everything that has no accountability to it whatsoever. You can point at the Tories outsourcing the NHS. Fucking Labour did the same thing. They did the PFI nonsense. They did the same thing. They just label it differently. It's bollocks. It's all bollocks. The fear of monopolies, the fear of the big fat cats is nonsense. Taxis. Taxi companies had an absolute monopoly, didn't they? They were everywhere. You had your taxi company in your area. Suddenly Uber comes along. Fucks them all over. Do you remember iTunes? Do you remember when iTunes were going to own the industry? Do you remember that when they were coming up? And then Napster came along and all that. And suddenly it was like, oh, there's going to be... No one's ever going to pay for music ever again. And what do we have now? We have Spotify, Amazon Music, Google. Fucking radio's perked up again. It doesn't happen. Not in a free society. Not when people are free. When people are genuinely, legitimately free, things come along. iTunes didn't take over the industry. The Pirate Bay didn't kill the film industry. It created a situation where Netflix priced their product reasonably. And what happened then? Did Netflix take over? Did they create a monopoly? Did they fuck? No. It doesn't happen. It never happens. The only time it happens is when you're so scared of letting it happen that you put John McDonnell in charge and he goes, now it's happening. And then all the negatives that you associate with that come right along.
In the polls, if you were in charge.
No, not at all. Jeremy is exactly the sort of leader we want. And you know what's interesting, isn't it?
He seems like a nice enough fella, Jeremy Corbyn, but oh my God, no. He can't run his own party.
Jeremy's had a battering from some of the written media in particular.
I love this. They all have. They all have. Papers are trying to sell papers. They shit on everyone. Everyone. They'll take the piss out of anyone and everyone.
Press, because...
No, but Magic Grandad needs a special rules for him, doesn't he?
It's owned by people whose power and wealth we're challenging. Some of these press owners will say, you're going to pay your taxes. So, of course, they don't like us. And, of course, they'll pillory Jeremy Corbyn. And he's had a batting day after day after day. And then what happens in elections? Broadcast media are legally obliged to give us a semblance of balance. People see the real Jeremy Corbyn, as they did on the debate the other night. And look at the figures on the don't know.
Yeah. No. People see the real Jeremy Corbyn once it's been unfiltered. Bollocks, man. This is it here now. Talk radio is within those rules right now. This broadcast that you're watching right now, I'm not following these rules because this is just my own private personal commentary. But he is obliged. That's why he's been as delicate. If you ever listen to Mike, and I'd advise it, 10 till 1 every day on Talk Radio. He's a good guy. He says stuff that winds me up sometimes, but it's a good perspective. He does challenge people from every angle, you know. But he's under those rules. What John's talking about right now in terms of giving people a fair chance to talk is happening right now. And I have just demolished it. It is a joke. It is a... You know, Jeremy Corbyn goes, oh, we just want to care for the community, eh? Is that so bad? It's like, yeah, it's a fucking lie, mate. Just because lots of people fall for it, that doesn't make it okay.
That debate. Vast majority of don't knows actually back Jeremy Corbyn. So people actually making up their minds. See, the real Jeremy Corbyn, the principled, strong leader that he is, but the sort of leader we need.
Principled my fucking ass. Tony Blair's Labour Party destroyed free speech in this country. Destroyed it. They made it so the police can arrest, charge and imprison you just because they don't like the words that you say. Not because you're inciting or threatening. They don't like the ideas that you have. If Jeremy Corbyn have even an ounce of decency about him, he'd at least be mentioning it. Oh, do you remember free speech? Because without free speech, there is no human rights. There is no gay pride. There's no sorting out all these things with like racial inequality and all that stuff. All these amazing things with like, you know, not going to the back of the bus and standing up for everything and standing up for gay marriage and all that. The core, the first thing of that is having free speech, is the ability, because all of those things, when they were first said, were grossly offensive. All of them were offensive. And you need to protect the rights for people to offend, for people to speak freely. And Labour destroyed that in this country. We had it as a common law thing. We had it as an unwritten constitution. For hundreds of years it developed. Hundreds of years it was there. And it wasn't perfect. But we were getting there, and Labour destroyed it. And if Jeremy Corbyn was genuinely as principled as you're lying about him being right now, the first fucking thing on that list in terms of protecting minorities, protecting the poorer people and the more vulnerable of society, the first thing that needs to happen for that is free speech. That's because without free speech, none of those things can happen. You cannot speak truth to power if you cannot speak. But that's not what these people want to do. They want totalitarian control over our entire country.
Now, someone who can listen, bring people together, build consensus, unite the country again. That's exactly the leader we want. And I think as we go into this campaign, you'll see more and more people recognise that.
There were a few people heckling him in Birmingham yesterday because the day that you chose to launch the manifesto, unfortunately, was the 45th anniversary of the Birmingham pub bombings.
Yeah, who gives a shit about that? Political posturing, bollocks, who cares? It's a bit of nonsense. Thing is, man, please, anyone but Labour. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but please do not vote for Labour. Jeremy keeps saying that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It is. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to fully destroy this country. Don't believe the bullshit. Please. I'm going to boo you anyway. Thanks again, Nat, for the £10. I do appreciate it. And I can't remember what it was you said with it. I don't know. I can't tell. Let me get up on the thing, see if it's clearer on YouTube itself. Oh, it was a kiss! I'm using Streamlabs that you might have seen thingies installed recently. I need to go round to Richie Allen's house and sort that shit out. You know when you see him doing this? Wait, let me show you just quickly before I go. You know when he's going and he's like, okay, bye. And I'm like, what are you doing, mate? You can preset it so it just does it. Yeah. I need to go around to Richie's house as soon as humanly possible and fix that for him. I might offer later, actually, and see if I'll pop round tomorrow or something. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it. There you go. There you go, Fat Billy. I know why you were here. There you go. That's my PSVR. I've not had the chance recently, but I do really want to stream. I'm going to be streaming on this channel at some point. Probably Christmas. You know, we're going to take a bit of a break for Christmas. So, you know, just to fill the gaps or whatever, I might stream some scary games because I am so pathetic. Like I will play a scary game on VR and I'll just be, no, I'm not doing that. Put Shenmue back on. It's safe and calm and nice. But if I know you're watching and I've got to do it for you, then I'll push on through the fear. And I think that might be quite fun for the Christmas break. Hey, that'd be all right, wouldn't it? I think it'd be good. I look forward to it. Anyway, Hayden, if you don't know, is having a operation today. Nothing serious. He's just fixing his wanking hands because he's been a bit too busy lately since he met me, isn't it? Ooh. He just can't help himself. Got hooked. Graham. But yeah, he's fixing his wanking hands. So, I'm going to be here anyway for the midday meltdown because I have got a lot that I need to talk about, a lot to catch up on from last week. But we might not be here on Tuesday. We'll see. I've said, depending on how he is on Thursday, if he's still a bit drugged up and weird, I've said I don't mind going in the chair Thursday night. It might be a bit fun calling you all knobs. And I think that I've got a Richie Allen debunking show that I've been saving for a Thursday. I got one of his shows that I want to go through, much like I've just been through the one today, and I kind of want to do it on the big desk. I think it'd be fun. Make sure he's watching. Fuck you, Graham. You just don't understand socialism. Real socialism. I like fucking chili. So what they did was they kicked out people and seized private property all over the place. Oh, did they, Richie? Great. That's a wonderful thing. Didn't work out though, did it? Wonder why. Richie will rip me an arsehole. Richie is a wonderful person and he really cares about people. And unfortunately that's taken him to socialism. But it is fundamentally immoral. His biggest cheer for socialism that was the decent right thing to do. The story starts with government seizure of private property. Fuck that bullshit, man. The first thing they did was turn up with their guns and steal from people. Fuck off. That's not real socialism. It is real socialism. It's just as bad as it's like that Spider-Man meme. That Spider-Man meme where they're the same going, ooh, like that. It's like, you're not a real socialist. Yeah, they're all the fucking same. It's a fantasy. It's an absolute fantasy, bless the little faces. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a lot of good stuff to say. He's got a phenomenal perspective. He's a good guy. And if you don't know who Richie Allen is, go and check him out. You know, like I said, he's a socialist, but he's a socialist for all the right reasons. Yeah. Check out Richie Allen. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Have a good night. Bye-bye.